welcome back to Quarantine Conversations. Here we are, Season 2, Episode 7. Woo. I hope that you guys are doing amazing. We are back once again with Jonathan.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Jonathan.
And Kaimana.
Hi, Kaimana.
I hope that you guys are doing good, staying safe, washing your hands, and all that good stuff. Here we go. Let's begin.
Let's go.
Cereal is better without milk. Agree or disagree?
You're looking at me. Disagree. I feel like cereal it's made with the intention of being slightly soggy from milk, and that's where it tastes the best. I do think that the milk that's left after the cereal is gross. Very gross.
Okay.
If you drink that, you're gross. I think that's the worst thing I've ever heard.
Are you gonna get Elisha the little bowl with the straw? Have you seen those?
Like,
no,
yeah,
no,
I know.
no straw,
he's not doing that. I'm gonna be like, done. I'm gonna throw it away.
But what about if you put more cereal into that?
You can put more cereal as a refill.
That doesn't make any sense. It's the same milk that you're consuming that's so gross to you.
There's a context of cereal in it.
It certainly is a unique milk. You look at it, it's like, oh, that's different.
It's
that's been through some stuff.
It's warmish milk, which is the worst kind.
Yeah.
And then it's tainted.
Yeah. So I don't think there's any way to consume cereal besides with milk.
Have you ever had it without milk? Just like reach in, grab a fistful?
I did.
Yeah, like you ever been in the situation where you like pour cereal and then you look for the milk
and
like there's no milk?
Yeah, and you're like, I'm gonna eat
or
this.
when I'm just tired, I don't want to go buy milk.
Yeah, like it's such an effort to try and get that cereal back to the box or whatever, the bag. And so yeah, there's been times where I've been like, well, it's over. I'm just gonna eat it. And I don't know what it is about cereal. Almost every cereal, it like hurts. It like hurts without milk. Have you done this before?
I think it's like extra crunchy because it's
Cocoa Puffs do that.
It's meant to be sogged out.
Yeah,
you keep saying soggy, and that grosses
but
me
it's
out.
true,
I know,
and
like,
I guess that's the right definition for it.
It's
a little
meant
bit
to
though.
be
At that point, I'm just like, ew, I want to throw it
marinated
out.
in
milk. No, but I've had it like too soggy too, and of course that's a
you can't
tragedy.
wait very long. There's a window.
I'm literally holding back my.
I'll say this: I would
reflex.
rather have dry cereal than soggy cereal, but that between is perfect.
Yeah.
Without, yeah, I don't know.
I agree with you guys. I think that cereal is meant to be with milk. I think it's weird without it. And I think I've had both, which I didn't even really try sugary cereals until I was in college. I wasn't allowed. So all I ever had was like plain Cheerios,
Those are good.
plain cornflakes. That was it. Like we never had sugary cereals. So like now that's why I like
sugar
Cocoa
cereals?
Pebbles so much. But I also never have it for breakfast. I have it for dessert. Like I can't, I've
It's
never
a
had,
luxury.
unless it was Staff Retreat. I remember trying Lucky Charms for the first time. Jamie introduced me to all these crazy things. The Gap, Lucky Charms.
Yeah, white stuff.
Literally, I never had it before. So I was like, oh, this stuff's good. So I would have it on Staff Retreat. But as a whole, if I buy cereal, like the sugary kind, it's for dessert.
I haven't had it for breakfast in a really long time.
When do you have it?
For something like, not a dessert, but like I'll substitute
Lunch.
dinner sometimes. Sometimes if I'm like, I don't know, if there's nothing going on, I'm not trying to, go out or make anything. I'm just like, okay, cereal will do the job.
What's your cereal of choice?
The best cereal ever, in my opinion, is Lucky Charms. But a lot of people would say it basically is, yeah. A lot of people would say like Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and I don't know what happened there because it was my favorite forever. That's an objectively good cereal.
That's really good.
It's really good,
yeah.
but I don't know what happened. I think I had
feel
it too
like
much
people
as a
like
kid.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch because it's sweet, but they feel like it's not that sugary. They feel like it's healthy a little bit.
Oh, I
like
wouldn't
in
be
our minds,
crazy
it's
enough
like, oh,
to think
that's
that.
cinnamon toast
There's literally,
breakfast.
like,
I can have this.
so
and
much
I'm like,
sugar on each
I know.
one.
I feel like cinnamon toast crunch is the worst.
There's
but I
like
feel
sugar coming off
it's
of it.
literally
no,
like-
but I feel like you
It's
eat it. You're
crazy.
like, oh, because think about it. We need to like Google it, look it up. What's more sugary,
It'll
Lucky
say-
Charms or cinnamon toast? And I feel like we
I
would
don't
all
know,
say
yeah.
whatever. But I
Lucky
bet
Charms
you
only the marshmallows.
the other
They're
stuff's
super-
okay.
Yeah, but a marshmallow is just all sugar though.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I think that's very
You know, like
gross.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch will say like made with whole grain or something, on it, and so people might be
Anytime
like, oh, okay.
a box has like a leaf on it, people are like, that's very healthy.
Come on.
Well, even now,
No,
most
it's
of them are
called
like
sugar
gluten free because they've
surprise.
always been gluten free. But they're like,
But
oh, it's
now they
gluten
gotta
free.
show it off.
Because right,
Yeah.
if I go, oh, it's gluten free, you think, oh,
Yeah.
diet. Like this is
Right.
healthy for me.
No.
You're like,
no
no,
way.
it's
It
Cinnamon
means
Toast
nothing
Crunch
because it
is
just
so.
has styrofoam instead of
Right.
like
It's
pure
sugar only, no gluten.
If
just
you
sugar.
separated the sugar from the cereal in Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I feel like it'd be more sugar than cereal. Like there's so much.
That's why, like,
I
I
need
like
to
life. I like
it
to
up.
eat life.
Talk amongst
because that's
yourselves.
like
I've
lightly
had it so
sweetened.
long. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, Life cereal
What
is so
Life
good.
cereal.
I've never had it.
Really? It's
Yeah.
like lightly, and then I love Raisin Bran.
You tell me
Oh,
that
Raisin
Cinnamon
Bran.
Toast Crunch
Good
has
breakfast.
more sugar than
I
Lucky
think
Charms.
it is the most sugary cereal.
Cinnamon
It has
Toast
to be.
Crunch.
There's literally sugar on every piece.
Okay.
Yeah.
The calories in
Cookie
Cinnamon
Crisp?
Toast Crunch is 130.
Pretty good.
170 with a cup of skim milk and 9 grams of sugar.
Okay, so 130 is what we have to
And then
remember.
Lucky Charms.
Has to be
What's
higher.
the calories?
It has to be
Yeah.
higher than Lucky Charms.
What did I say for the sugar?
130.
9 grams.
Wait. You said hold on. Oh, okay.
147 Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms have more calories.
And wait. And it's 27 grams of sugar versus.
Wow. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
I'm
It's
switching.
healthier.
I'm
It's
switching.
basically
I'm
like
switching to Cinnamon
diet.
Toast Crunch.
Diet.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Wow.
Whatever.
It's not 140, 130, 147. It's not that different.
I knew it. I knew those marshmallows are just concentrated
Little
sugar.
sugar
But just take the
droplets.
marshmallows off and just have it.
Nope, can't do that.
I like, yeah, if I eat that, I have to have like one marshmallow and mostly, what is it?
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's too much.
What's the other
No,
stuff
it's
called?
not.
Too
Cereal?
much. The marshmallows like too
I don't know what it's
much.
called. It's
I
like
don't know.
bread.
I was gonna say kibble, but that's
It's-
what you get every time. I
It's
like the
bread.
kibble
It's
part.
The soggy kibble. That's what you eat. Oh my gosh, Gio, take her to dinner. Soggy kibble.
That's all I'm
I
allowed.
don't know what those white pieces are called.
Okay, mac and cheese is overrated. Agree or disagree?
That's another one that I just think is properly rated.
Properly rated.
I just don't think people
So you
freak out.
disagree? Mac
Yeah,
and
yeah,
cheese
yeah.
is
Yeah.
overrated. Disagree.
I
It's
disagree.
properly.
Yeah, I think so. I just think and the reason why is because it's great. Rather, it's like somewhere between good and great. It's like not great. It's pretty good.
It's between good and great.
It's pretty. Yeah, it's
pretty good would be that.
It's
correct
all right.
way.
So it's pretty good, but nobody freaks out over it. I
I
think.
think a lot of people freak out over
I
it.
don't know.
Really?
To me,
Like-
it seems like a cult classic. Like people are like, my mac and cheese. That's all I need.
So it's overrated.
And so I think it's overrated.
Okay.
Now that I'm
Gotcha.
I
thinking
think
about
it's
it,
all right. It's between all right and pretty good for me.
next episode we'll have a ranking, a sheet with all of these listed names on them and what's better than
Okay.
what. Pretty good. And
Once
kinda good.
again, I was depressed. I think that's why I don't like food. I've never ate before. So I didn't
You
try
tried eating?
mac and cheese until 10th grade.
Jamie
Oh,
Wilson.
my
But I'm
goodness.
Puerto Rican, like you don't have that stuff. And my mom was like at home, so you just don't make it out of like it's just not a thing. And number
guess
one,
that's
it's very Southern. Number two, like it's out of a box at first.
Yeah.
Or like that's how, I don't know.
Yeah, I
So
mostly
then the
had it
first
out of
time
a
I tried it,
box.
my friend made it for me. And I remember my first, and I was like, this is the bomb. And I ate it.
It
and
is.
I had a whole bowl and I got really sick because it was too
Oh.
much cheese or
like
something.
cheese
It was a lot.
sauce, yeah.
So then after that, like I've had it, but I can't have too much because I'm just like, you kind of crave it and you go for it.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of, because my stomach's not used to eating. So like it was a lot. So I don't think it's overrated. I think I'm like, yeah, it's the bomb.
Yeah.
But I literally never crave it. I
Yeah.
don't ever have it.
And do you
But
hear
if
too
I
many
have,
other
like,
people like talking crazy about it? Like, oh, it's the
But
best in the world.
right, but when I had it in 10th grade, I was like, oh, I see it.
Oh, okay.
Because it's
see,
a
yeah.
meal.
See
Like
the
it was
crazy.
awesome. That's why I'm like, this is okay. Yeah, I think it's properly rated.
Yeah.
Like people like die for it because it covers a multitude of
I mean, it's
sins.
pasta. We
And,
talked
like,
about it last week.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
pasta,
yeah.
technically.
it's cheese. Like it's kind of like a chocolate. Like wow, it hits
It's a
all the
good
taste
snacky.
buds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more snacky.
and
to
it's
me.
I only
very
like
comforting.
the baked mac and cheese
Fancy
from like
pants.
Stouffer's. Yeah, that's like super fancy schmancy.
Yeah.
That to me is not
So
overrated.
you don't like Kraft
like the
boxed?
Kraft. We always ate Velveeta
Yeah, that's
cheese,
good.
that's
which is
the
really
fancy
good. That's
kind.
the
Yeah.
fancier kind. But now I'm kind of like, we ate it all the time, So now I'm like, I want that baked gourmet.
I probably
takes
had
an
it
hour
like
and a
10
half.
times, and half the time was it like in our potlucks here. And I'm like, what is this substance? I'll have it with my arroz con gandules.
I didn't know that people made that for potluck so often until I came to this church.
Yeah,
So-
I didn't know that was like
did
a
you really have a
potluck
potluck? Does
must.
anyone have potlucks outside of churches?
Well, my work has had it like twice.
Do they call it potluck?
Don't you work
they
remote?
do. I work from home. It's my own,
Miranda and Cody bring it. They're like,
it's my own thing.
potluck.
Guys, can we have a potluck at home, please?
Pepper brings the kibble, and it's all coming together.
No, yeah, I've had a couple outside of church, but 90% in church.
Okay, cake is not that good. Agree or disagree?
I have to wholeheartedly disagree
Okay.
because I will eat any kind of cake for any reason at any time of day. Even when it's not that good. Like I'll have some cake and I'll be like, this is not that good. And I will eat all of it. that's on my plate. And then if I'm bored later, I'll get more of it and I'll eat more and I'll be like, none of this was very good.
Let me get some more.
The fact that I'm eating cake, it's worth it.
Okay, I completely agree with this statement. Cake is not that good. I completely agree. I couldn't agree more, in fact. And the reason why is because of the way it's worded. Cake is not that good. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that cake is bad. I don't think anybody could tell you cake is bad, but cake is not that good.
Like to have it enough for all the festivals and celebrations
oh my
and things.
goodness,
Or like
listen,
every birthday you have to have cake.
Listen, every birthday party that I've been to, almost every. I'm sure when I was a kid it was different.
Cake.
But like almost, listen.
It's part.
Every
it's like
time-
turkey with Thanksgiving.
Every time that and
I don't
similar
like
and
turkey
similar
with
to
Thanksgiving
turkey at
that much.
Thanksgiving, when that part comes, I'm like, oh, here we go. Like the birthday cake at a birthday party, it's the least exciting part. Okay, listen, cake is way more often like uncomfortable to eat than it is comfortable to eat.
Uncomfortable?
Listen,
Uncomfortable. Those are
listen,
some
Those are
strong
harsh words.
well, hear me out.
Yeah.
Because of the mixture of, nobody can deny, a lot of cakes are too dry. Like
Okay.
they're not made properly. Okay,
yes,
that
it's a
and then
chef's fault.
also you're thinking of how not good for you it is at the time. Like nobody can deny that. Like we at least kind of think about that when you're eating it. It has to be worth the trade-off, but it never really is. Now every once in a while, not even at weddings, it's like a random birthday party. Be like, oh, this cake is good. Most of the time, weddings is like, oh, there we go. It's with
What
the rest
about
of the
like
cakes
where
in
do
the
you
world.
get your cakes from? Like Walmart?
It doesn't matter. Cake anywhere. It has always been like, oh, that definitely isn't that good. But again, it's not bad, but it's definitely not that good. I just love the statement. I love
Cake
it.
is Cake is not that good.
That good.
Here's, I thought about it. Cake is not that good, and I'm with you. I agree. It's not that good. I think
need to get
I
out
do
of
what you
here.
do too. Oh, let me have some. I eat it. And I'm just like, this isn't that good. And then I keep eating it.
But
and
exactly.
but then afterwards, I'm like, man, I just wasted
Wasn't worth
1,000
it.
million calories on this thing. I should have had mac and cheese because that tasted better.
We're the same person.
You know?
I think the same
Me and
exact
you are
way.
exact the same.
Maybe
There's
you guys
nothing
haven't
different.
had
But
really
I don't,
good cake,
I
though.
don't like frosting. I put ones. I don't know. I don't think I count on food
Maybe.
anyway. But like, I always feel like but it's like if I'm gonna have a birthday, I'm gonna get cake.
Yeah.
You're gonna
Right.
get cake. I'm
part
gonna say
of the deal.
birthday. We're gonna
But
have
it's
the candles.
part of the
I'm gonna
cultural
buy cake.
experience
Yes.
of the
I know,
moment.
but
Yes,
then
it
I'm
is,
always
but it's
like,
not that good.
this wasn't that good.
That's all it is.
I'm always
It's good.
so
It's good. It's
disappointed.
good. It's like it tastes. It's good.
If you had like
But
a
it's not that good.
homemade like
Yeah.
cake, like chocolate, raspberry, homemade.
I'd rather have pizza.
buttercream.
I'd rather have a sundae.
I
I'd
do.
rather
Or-
I
have
like
yeah,
all
like
that stuff more
cheesecake.
than
That's
dessert.
okay.
I don't like
though. I would
cheesecake at
rather
all.
have like I love cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
I
Cheesecake is
will
that
say
good.
now that birthday parties are super fancy and it's always a dessert table, I'd rather have the other desserts
than a cake.
But I will be like, give me a slice of that cake.
It's crazy for a wedding too. Like the cake is like one of the most expensive things, and no one ever likes the wedding cake.
Yeah.
As
Like
I
it's
got
literally
older,
no one ever like.
Yeah.
There's no point
just
to it 'cause
realized.
everyone basically hates it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you only get a cake now, you do it for like pictures because you want to remember something that never happened, which is a whole other.
I don't know. I've been to lots of weddings and I'd be eating the cake and it's
You like
delish.
it?
And I'm just, even if it's not delish, I'm like, give me some more in 1 second.
But you have to admit that it's not that good
It's
though.
that good. That's the word. It's not that.
What's the
good.
best cake you've ever had?
It.
Yeah. What's yeah?
Because I'll go get some. I don't like buttercream. I rather have whipped cream frosting. My favorite cake ever that I've had was in Wegmans up in upstate New York. Anyone want to send me a cake? I don't even know if they still have it. And it was whipped cream frosting with a custard filling and then just regular moist cake. But it was delicious, and they don't make that here in Florida. We used to have it all the time for birthdays. I don't even know if Wegmans still exists. All our fans out
Probably
there,
not
millions
right
of
now.
fans, send me
Yeah.
a Wegmans cake.
I don't know.
Wegmans.
Like my dad used to make pistachio cake. I mean, he still makes it. Not recently, but whatever. And it was so good. I don't even know what it was. It was like he uses like 7-Up instead of water, and it makes it more moist and fluffy. And then the frosting's like Cool Whip frosting, and it's like flavor. It's just so good. And I could eat half of the whole cake, and it's delicious. Veronica's mom has made like a dark chocolate cake that has like a raspberry filling, and I mean, I have a severe stomachache after eating it, but I could eat like all of it. Yeah, and I could just think about it for
I can't do raspberry
days.
and chocolate. Don't like pistachio.
I had a tart
maybe that's the
once. Wait, a
problem.
tort. I had a tort, which is
tort?
like
What's
a
the difference between a tort and a
flourless
tart?
cake or something.
Yeah.
A tart is
Oh.
like the baked, and then there's custard and fruit. A tort is like a cake without flour, I think. We had it
Cake
at
without
Prado,
flour.
and it was so good.
You're a
Cake
cake
without
without
cake.
Me and
flour.
Gio are
That's a
fatties
cake
though.
without
Like
cake.
if we have a cake in our house, it'll be gone in a day.
I kind
It
of want
doesn't matter
cake now,
how
even
much
though I'm
cake.
probably not gonna like
I'll
it.
probably go get some
You
cake
ever had
at
those
Publix after
Pepperidge
We
this.
should have had the
Farm,
cake
like,
slices
You ever
and
had
had
those
them.
Pepperidge Farm square cakes? They're like coconut, and then they also have like
Pepperidge
chocolate.
Farm.
Yo, listen, for anybody,
Isn't that like meat?
no,
Pepperidge Farm.
Hillshire Farm.
no, yeah, Pepperidge
That's
Farm.
sausage.
Pepperidge Farm.
Pepperidge
same,
Farm is like cookies, like Milano's.
yeah, they make goldfish and all
Okay.
that stuff. I'm just saying they do.
We're going,
Goldfish cake.
they make tractors. I'm like,
No.
we're not. We're
No, I meant
John
the
Deere.
goldfish, the snack, not gold, like not real goldfish. All right, anyways, they make these like
God makes
square.
real goldfish.
I'm getting the name right. Pepperidge Farms, I think.
Yeah, Pepperidge Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they make these square cakes. And anyways, it comes in a box and it's like all white.
Frozen.
No, it's refrigerated. It's not frozen. So you just open the box, you pull it out. It's like a perfectly square. Yo, for anybody listening who knows what I'm talking about, they're probably freaking out right now because
They're
that
like, but I'm saying,
is
are
that
they in
good.
the
Is that an ice
refrigerated
cream
section
cake?
or they're just in like the bake section? I think they do both because
no, it's
M&M's.
definitely-
No.
Well, if-
Pepperidge Farm is like frozen. Like you get it in the freezer
well,
section.
maybe it is in the freezer
And then
section,
you have
but
to
it's
like
never.
defrost it or whatever.
No, you don't have to defrost this one. So that's why I'm like not knowing where it's from.
But it's refrigerated.
Yeah. I don't think it's like you don't have to defrost it.
Pepperidge
though.
Farm refrigerated
I want to like
cake.
Google this because you guys have probably seen
Have
it
you ever seen like
before.
just the cakes that are so nicely decorated too? That adds to the
But,
flavor.
but I'm saying that's why I'm
It
like,
looks
you're so
nice.
pretty. Let me have it.
Yeah.
But you know what? You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. That's the
Most
lesson.
of the time.
I'm like, I don't
pretty
buttercream
but ugly
frosting
inside.
like, I don't like it.
Man,
Yeah, I'm gonna look this up for you guys real quick just to show you.
Pepperidge Farm. I
I'm
know
trying to think
Pepperidge
of
Farm,
something
like Sarah
that isn't
Lee
that good.
is really good. I didn't even introduce where we were at right now. So look, we're at Courtside, everybody.
Welcome.
Some of you never hang out here because it's not always open because nobody cares about this section, but it's really awesome
it's
in
a
the
dark
building.
place.
Courtside,
have
it's still very courty, very
literally
sidey.
never seen what
Okay,
you're showing me.
Let me see.
We need to get a picture up for everyone to see. But
Oh,
I have
yeah,
never
we had
seen
those. That's
that.
in the freezer section.
now that is that good. Now it's cake, so I don't want to retract my answer. I won't talk about it much
it's
more.
all
but
frozen and cold, so it tastes
Like mousse
ice
cake.
cream.
Cake with mousse is so good.
It's like frozen, so it's the frosty kind, or whatever. Yeah, I've had that.
my
I
goodness.
don't know.
He's about to cry. You need
Yeah,
a moment?
I could.
Lemon
I could,
cake.
If
but I
anybody
Have you ever
wants to
been to
make us a
Nothing
cake
Bundt
to have
Cakes?
next
Wow.
week, we will eat it. If you bake us a cake, we'll give you a shout out. We'll put it right there, and we will have cake.
Yep.
Let us know.
I'll let you know if
Nothing
it's that
Bundt.
good.
It's gonna be like 3 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let's continue the conversation. This episode is called dun, 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 Spilling the Tea. Because that is what we are going to be doing in more ways than one. We're going to be basically spilling the tea about spilling the tea.
Mm-hmm.
I guess not really
Spilling
spilling
the
the tea
tea
about spilling the tea,
squared.
but it's basically that's the best way to
I like
explain
it.
it.
Yep, it is.
To kind of drop some truth.
Yep.
So we're going to be talking about people who gossip about
Mm-hmm.
all that stuff, about talking
bum,
about
bum.
talking about things, talking about people, all that
Mm-hmm.
good stuff.
Let's give them something to
and
talk
just
about.
open
Yeah.
up that conversation so that we can get some wisdom, some direction in our conversation. We know that the tongue has the power of life and death, and we should be bringing life. Everything that we speak should be to encourage, to bring correction, and I think sometimes those lines can get blurry. And I know right now everyone's like, oh, I don't gossip, but we all do it.
Yeah.
Let's admit it, and let's just be better. Amen?
Yep. Amen.
That's right.
Okay, so here we go. How would you define gossip?
Okay, so is it a boring answer to just say I define it by how it's defined?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll just tell you like
So
mine.
but you were gonna define it as gossip.
Yeah. Well, no, not with the word, but I was
Explain
just,
it.
whatever the normal definition. No, but
Google.
okay. So yeah, gossip is talking about people,
What was that thing?
Talking about
talking.
people.
Just
I
I don't know these songs, guys.
You're too young, John.
Oh man, there we go. Yeah, so basically, I mean, just talking about people, about situations, about things that typically have nothing to do with yourself, but specifically talking about them in assumptive manners, talking about them as if you know
Assumptive.
what you're talking about. Just to kind of define it a little bit more specifically, I think it really has to do with I don't know. It just has to do with a lot of times just people, specific people and situations, and this person said or did this, and I'm not sure if they whatever. It's basically speculating about somebody else and their motives. I notice a lot of times it's about people's motives, like this
Yeah.
person meant to do this or did they
Yeah.
not mean it this way, and all this stuff. So that's how I define gossip, is specifically talking about people and situations that have nothing really to do directly with yourself, but then more specifically inside of that, like people's motives and reasons that they do or don't do certain things.
Great answer. Okay, this is probably just a paraphrase of like 17 definitions I looked up.
Okay.
This is from my heart.
Oh.
It's unfiltered and usually like casual discussion. It's never like, come here, really need to tell you this. It's usually casual discussion about someone that includes unverified accusations, and I guess what you're kind of saying, assumptions.
Yeah.
But then to me, gossip has to have this part. It's like there's no intention of taking action on that information, like helpful action. It's never like, hey, John, I'm really concerned about a mutual friend of ours. I don't feel like I can go talk to them. Can you go talk to them? Yeah. I don't feel like that's gossip. But when it's just like, oh yeah, so-and-so did so-and-so and this and this and this. And then they said this about this person and then drugs were involved. Like it's all that whole thing. And then we just leave it there. There's nothing helpful coming out of it. Right. Then I think that is really where it crosses the line to gossip.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think it's just idle talk.
Yeah.
Like just extra talk that just doesn't need to happen about the affairs of other people.
Yeah.
I think one of the craziest parts, just kind of like doing research and thinking about this whole entire quarantine conversation that we're going to have. One of the craziest facts I found was that people who gossip have very high levels of anxiety. Like there's a lot of a stressful thing that they come in and it's so crazy because God is like, okay, don't gossip. We know it's wrong. Even society's like, yeah, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't say that, et cetera, et cetera. But it does impose a lot of like personal anxiety that people carry these false burdens. And I think sometimes too, just anyone that's listening, because right now you're like, well, other people have this problem. Like that was my biggest thing, is like gonna blame other people. They have this issue. I'm like, but I think that we need to take personal responsibility and go, okay, like sometimes some of these burdens that I'm carrying, it's causing anxiety in my life, and it's probably giving me stress that I don't need to stress about because it's none of my business.
Yeah.
/ it's not a burden that the Lord has called me to carry on. And I think we need to apply that as we continue this conversation.
Amen.
Okay. Why do people gossip?
I think a lot of it has to do with just pure boredom. Sometimes, like when you just don't have anything going on, you're like, I could eat some cake and I could have mac and cheese, or I could just assume things about a person. You know? And so I think a lot of times it's just pure boredom, which the Bible does talk about, like idle hands, like that's whatever. But then I also think it stems a lot from jealousy. Like if you get to the root of like, oh, so-and-so has a lot of opinions about so-and-so, like, or I have a lot of opinions about this person. Maybe like you see someone with a critical eye, at the root of it, it might just be you're kind of threatened or jealous of them. So you're sort of trying to even out the scales with you guys.
I agree with you. I thought the jealousy part, I think that people just do it because they're jealous of what someone else has, but no one wants to admit that. And I think also, because we're not jealous. I'm cool and I'm fine. I'm like, no, like, because if you didn't care what somebody else had, then you wouldn't say anything.
Right. Well, because there's just specific people who always like have their eye on another person. You know, and it's someone that like I'm like not even on my radar to think about their life, but you're always coming to me about them, and I'm like, well, you don't see like the relationship, you don't see the correlation in you guys. You're both doing the same thing. You both have the same talent. You're kind of both on the same path, and you guys would like, one of you will get an opportunity, the other one won't. You know what I mean? It kind of is that. Whereas to me, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. God bless them. But then it's sort of very personal. So that's where I think the jealousy comes in.
I think the other part, it's also like to feel a part of the group or like for attention. Yeah. Because it's like, if I want, Jonathan's Twitch, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go to you. And I'm like, oh my gosh, Jonathan doesn't even know how to handle a Twitch. I don't even know what a Twitch is, but Jonathan cannot Twitch it out anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because I think we do that sometimes so that you're like, down
and then
Jonathan,
you're trying to like
Twitch,
create a little
and all
following.
of a sudden, I'm a Twitch expert.
Right.
I'm
Twitchified.
Twitchified.
That makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have a song, Twitch it out, like it's going in. So at that point, I've taken his place. And I think sometimes in society, we think that's how we get ahead. So that's the only other thing that I wanted to add. I'm like, we do that to like, okay, now I can Twitch it. I make cake. I like cakes. No, you don't like it. I like it. Like we want to take somebody else's spot because we think that's how it works.
Yeah. I think another reason why people gossip is, and this is a little different. I mean, by the way, I totally agree with everything y'all said. I think a lot of the time it has mostly to do with that, but a reason that I think certain people gossip as well. And this is the trap I've fallen into in the past as well, is that the line is a little bit blurry, a little bit. It's not as blurry as other lines, but it's a little bit blurry between, you know, having to like get your frustrations out and having a productive conversation. Like those can easily turn into gossip. So I think that's another reason why people gossip is because like they do it on accident.
It starts out with pure intentions.
Right, it does. But
then
it, all of a sudden it starts to, okay, so like the pure intentions were, okay, let's resolve this, let's whatever. But then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, wait, it feels good to have someone feel bad for me. Yeah. Oh, wait, it feels good to, oh, what if this person did mean it in a much worse way than it? And like you start to like get it like a little bit bigger. It's like, wait, hold on, that's not, we're trying to fix this, not like make it worse or feel better about the fact that like you're right and they're wrong type thing. Yeah. So I think that's one thing. It's a little bit blurry. I think people can go into certain conversations and be like, okay, this is going to be a good conversation where I get things out there and maybe we can resolve this. But then it feels good to just like assume things about another person. It feels good to just speculate, and that's one reason that I believe people gossip. Another reason too is that like, y'all, listen, I've been in so many situations where like I'm just trying to keep a conversation going, and it seems like the only direction that I can go in, because some people are just hard to talk to, I guess, but like the only direction you can go in is like, hey, let me bring up a mutual person that we both know, and let's just talk.
Let's just rip them to shreds.
But like not even necessarily. Like, let me just bring them up. Like, oh, this is what this person's up to. But then from there, it gets like dangerous. It's like,
well, I heard that they were up to
he keeps doing this, so I don't know. Like, whatever. What do you think about that? You heard about that? Like, it just gets really, it just gets bad out of nowhere. So, I mean, I think both my answers as to why people do it have to do with it starting as one thing and it just turns into something bad. Yeah. But I've been in situations, man, you're getting I don't know, like you're at a barber shop or whatever.
I was going to say bar.
No, you're at a barber shop.
I'm at a bar. I'm like,
you're at a bar.
Now, so
that's
whatever.
like problem number one.
But like you're at a place where small talk is common, is what I mean. And then like you want to start something out of nowhere. I mean, you'll even gossip to a person who doesn't even know who you're talking about. You'll just bring up a person and be like, yeah, I think they're...
That is every hairdresser and barber. Like, they know all the tea of Orlando.
Yes, exactly.
But they don't know, like, the people.
And for some reason, those are the perfect environments to, like, air stuff out. But it turns into gossip a lot of times. So I think it's a lot of times on accident because we're not catching ourselves.
I think, like, sometimes you do, even if, like, let's say you're, like, have very innocent intentions. Someone's coming to you talking. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you do find yourself and you're like, this person I'm talking to has a really low opinion of this mutual friend of ours, and you kind of like at that point you have to make a choice, like, man, should I like stand up to this? Should I walk away? Because we were just like this person talking has no idea that you're kind of like, what you're saying is very mean, you know, and then you're like, I was just trying to have small talk, and now I'm gonna have to either walk away, take a moral stand, or gossip with them. Those are your three options.
What a fork in the road.
I feel like horrible. We're in a lot of people are in a lot of situations, especially right now during this quarantine time. Yeah. Because it's just more time, all you can do is talk.
Who should we talk about
and it's
today?
Opening up conversations that we probably shouldn't be having. What benefits do we get from spilling the tea? Whether they're healthy benefits or not healthy benefits.
Endorphins. I think one thing is that usually people, I feel like you know you might have this problem when, you know, like you're telling a story and then someone else is like needs you to know that they already know that story. Yeah. And they like either start talking over you, they finish it for you, or they're like, yeah, I know. Someone told me 5 days ago when they tell you 4 days ago. You know, like so like I think sometimes when you have a specific personality like that, the major benefit from spilling the tea is being the hub. Like, you want to be the hub of info for everyone. Yeah. So you absorb a lot and you give a lot, because then you're kind of like the person who knows what's happening. Yeah. So then you kind of create a little position for yourself where people are like, oh, ask so-and-so, because they usually know what's going on. You know, and it's a little bit,
that's the worst to be known as that person.
No, I know it is, but like I feel like we all know people like that, and I'm like, if I'm trying to find out like where's this person been, I'm like, oh, so and so probably knows.
Find the names at the bottom of the screen.
Wow, that's
Let
really
me go ask
true.
them, like, you know, right? Like especially in church, I'm like, man, I haven't seen so and so in a while. I wonder if someone like they know where they are. But it's natural, like it comes to you because you're like, oh, this person seems to always know a lot about people's lives.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, similar to what you were saying earlier about kind of the motives of gossip. I think, because you used the Twitch example, but I think people do that with like people and wanting to just be involved in that situation, like wanting to like be a part of something that really has nothing to do with them, because like, especially if it's a situation that has to do with two people who are acting negatively in whatever way, like, man, it feels so good to be the person who knows all the negative stuff, but I'm not involved in it, I'm not doing anything wrong, I just know about that and their situation and all that. So I think people gossip just to like feel significant.
Yeah.
I think I don't know, it's uncomfortable to think about, but again, I know I've been there before too, like having motives to bring up a certain conversation or a certain person who did this or didn't do that or whatever. Like, I don't know. It goes back to what you're saying. Kind of that person that you described, it's like you feel in control.
Yeah.
And it's so gross.
Which you're not at all,
because
and that's like the
worst.
That's like very pathetic. Like you're like, oh.
It's bad, but I promise. Like, I'm just thinking back to times where I've felt compelled to bring up somebody's story to somebody who, whatever, has nothing to do with it, and it's like I feel some weird sense of like importance and control over something. It's like gross to even describe.
Well,
Gross.
even like going back to last week when we talked about social media, it's it's sort of that way to even the scales of comparison. Like when someone's on a trip, and like. You might be the truth is you want to be on that trip, right? So then you go to someone and you're like, so where do they get the money to afford all these trips? And you're just all of a sudden like, they're just living. They're just, they're just traveling. It's fine. They're whatever. But then because you actually wish that was you, you go and you try to, insert yourself like, oh, well, I mean, if I wanted to be up to my arms in debt, then I would go on trips all the time.
I feel like,
and it just spirals.
I get it.
So good.
I was going to use a different ministry, but I'll just talk about myself. I guarantee you 99.9% of the people that I meet that come up to me that want to be in a production or a drama or something on the screen, their first response is to insult someone on the stage or something I did. That is their literally,
that's their foot in the door.
Hi. Oh, I saw that. They forgot their line, or they messed up, or they looked like this, or they this. By the way, FYI, I'm an actor. Oh my gosh, I've been a part of Disney Entertainment for one whole minute. Can I be in your next production? And I'm like, no, goodbye.
You're like you just literally said they had the worst things.
And it's not just one person's
like
too. Most people come up to me and they they insult, and that's the last thing, especially. And here's the thing: in the middle of service, they text me and go, "Oh, this person, that was so bad." I'm like, you know what else is bad? Your face. I get so, and it's so ridiculous. So anyone out there, like, because they want to be a part of something,
you don't realize how dumb you look,
right?
Like you think like, I proved a lot of points. I think she's gonna contact me about the acting
job,
right?
Because they think if I can, people come up. I don't know really the psychology behind it, but there's something about if I knock you down, all of a sudden. Like, I pushed you down, so now I'm on top of you. Yeah. I'm standing, I am better than you, and now this person wants to see me. And I guess maybe sometimes people fall for it, and maybe in my lack of experience, I would have been like, oh, okay, well, they told me they were this, and this was bad. Okay, so I believe them. So I do think it does, I think we perpetuate that fallacy by embracing people that do that, because people do that with like singers. They're like, oh, you messed up that note, this is how you should do it, and then because of one moment of weakness, like, oh, okay, so I should, or they'll change songs, or they'll stop singing, or they'll stop sending. I don't know, like I've seen that. So many people, they were like gonna do a solo. Oh, I'm not gonna do it anymore. Why? Oh, because so and so was bad. I'm like, who is so and so? Yeah, like who are they? And it stinks, but a lot of people, they think by pushing someone else down, it's going to benefit them.
And the thing with gossip too is you're not even like directly doing that. It's not like, okay, so that's a more direct form where it's like you straight up text the person who's running this whole thing and say, yo, this person stunk. Like that takes a whole other level of boldness. But like,
people have it.
It's wild. On a gossip level though, you can do that from like the bushes because you're this is about other people.
You just whisper it into like the crowd and like, who said that?
But it makes you feel better for some reason about yourself. And it's like, an awareness of that is like the best thing to have. Like if you can catch yourself doing that beforehand, awesome. And we all need Jesus. So you're in a good place. But the problem is when you just like, it's because it's from the bushes. Like it's not directly texting someone, yo, this person stinks. It's like, you're just, it's so weird.
No, but they'll tell other people too. Yeah.
But
I've had
directly to their face.
It's just, they will go over and they
to
will,
a
here's
person
the
who
thing.
performed.
So you perform, you did bad. Okay. So then people tell me and go, hey, blah, blah, and they'll go, everybody else that was on stage, okay, she did they did bad, they did bad, they did bad. All of a sudden it gets back, and they've put that in their head, they did bad, so this person now thinks you did bad.
Yeah.
It's not a no. The people lack self-esteem. Yeah. It's because there's so much pride in their lives.
Yeah.
They actually, and it's happening. Yeah. Jonathan, like, I wish it was just a one time. It's an epidemic. And then I'll have people come up to me and go, oh yeah, this is bad. Oh yeah, this is bad. And I'm like, was it really bad? Or you just said that because everybody else said it was bad? Because even that, to that point, like, even if something is bad, does it need to be pointed out? At that point, what do you gain?
But it goes back to what she was saying. You're not there to be constructive. That's why. That's exactly the point.
It's completely gossip. It's not, let me help mankind and The Voice and mainstream and whatever. No, they do it to knock somebody else down and put a seed of doubt in that. It's gossip.
Well, and that's what, like, people have done that to me before too. Like, they'll come up and be like, oh yeah, they were flat or whatever. And my response, I used to, when I was younger, I'd be like, oh wow, why would they sing like that? But now I get that it's out of haterade. And so I'm just like, if that comes up, and I don't know anything about anything. So I'm just like, oh, I don't know. I don't sing, like, I don't know if it sounded good. It sounded good to me, you know, and I just kind of like have to leave it there, because now I do realize that the motive, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what keys are. I liked it. It made me cry, and I'm going to do it again.
I think that you just described the hardest part about gossip, because what you're talking about is your response to it. Mm-hmm. And if we're being honest, you talk about perpetuating it. If we're being honest, like, which I'm going to be honest, like, it is so much easier to have somebody come to you with some twisted gossip stuff and to not, like, actually shut it down the way we're supposed to.
Yeah.
Like, it's so much easier because you're avoiding an awkward situation by just going, flat, super flat. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
it's
think
like
the
the
hardest
natural
part,
flow of the conversation where for you to be like, yeah, I know.
We make it so easy for this thing to grow and get worse, but it's to avoid awkward situations. That's the hardest part. Is not, like, to me, the hardest part of gossip in my life is not gossiping. It is properly responding to gossip when somebody begins it.
Right,
not just being like,
putting a stop
I know,
to it.
right? Like, instead saying, like, wait a second, we're not doing anything constructive right now. We're just, picking on somebody who's not here right now to even bring up their point. So.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
You kind of said it a second ago, but we'll just go back to it. What are the problems with gossip?
I mean, I wanted to say this. The problems with gossip, it's like the Twitter effect that I described on the last episode. It's like when it gets spread, even just a little bit, like, the people who it's spread to, they become the source of information for other people. Mm-hmm. So, like, I hope this has never happened outside of, like, what I described last time with, like, okay, so, like, coronavirus news sometimes, like, I don't know, I'll read something on Twitter and I'll be like, oh, that happened.
This is a fact.
It's a fact, yeah. And then I'll say it as fact to, like, my grandma or whatever. But it's like, it's not, though. So I think the same with gossip. Like, you hear from somebody else something and it's gossip because it's not intended to make things better. It's whatever. Yeah. It's just intended to maybe make that person's ego inflated. And so, but it just seems maybe credible enough for somebody else to pass it on and be like, this is factual. You know what I mean? Like, that's the problem with gossip is that like it'll start as gossip and then it'll spread as fact. Like, and it's just, and it stinks because we just, I don't know, we hear things, we trust people, but we're all flawed. So we're trusting a person who said something out of anger or just awkward conversation that turns into gossip. Like we said, that's the problem. It turns into factual information and it gets spread so easily.
Yeah. It just, like, I think evolves so much in, like, the lifespan of gossip. Like, someone might have actually reported something that was like 98% correct, but then the person that they told is going to go tell someone, and it's telephone. Like, so someone, like, you just add one little detail for the storytelling effect, or just because you surmise that this probably happened since this happened, and then you tell that person. So then they add their own little detail. So then it becomes this huge thing full of complete misinformation. Yeah, and it's just being circulated, and I don't know the actual time span of, like, when gossip just eventually goes away, but it just evolves into, like, something that probably the very first person who told someone probably didn't mean for it to be. Maybe I'm being naive. Yeah. But it's just this big ball, this clump of false information with maybe one real fact in there.
I think that a couple things I want to add to that. I think gossiping, one of the problems is that gossiping shows more about the gossiper than the one being gossiped about, which that only comes through experience and time.
Oh yeah.
So like right away, there's people that like come and like they like said someone that texts me, they think they're like auditioning and they're gonna get the lead role.
Yeah.
Move over, Karen Sage. I got this, and I'm just like, okay, I will never work with you ever.
Yeah.
Because it just showed me that you just want to knock people down. So like right away when people come to me and tell me things, I guarantee. Now I've trained my mind because I don't think I was always like that. But for real, like we have to remember that.
Yeah.
Like when people come to us and I'm like, this says way more about you than the person you're talking about. Even if it's like horrible things, important, emergency, 911, I'm like, it still tells more about you than the person that you're talking about. Because I've had people come to me even when it's a serious situation too, that it's not gossip. I'm like, wow, like you really love your friend.
Yeah.
Because you want to help them.
Yeah.
So like it always tells more. I think it's horrible because it destroys people's reputation.
Yeah.
That even if it's not true or if it's whatever, or it's none of people's business, we can destroy people's reputation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think one thing also, that if they gossip to you, they will also gossip about you.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we forget that. So if people are going to come up to me and like tattle or tell or say things like, I know, I'm like, man, like you gossip to me, that means you're going to gossip about me. Even how I respond to the situation, they're going to go tell people, oh, this happened.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I think I had that written in my notes somewhere. There's a quote, something about that, but it can destroy friendships even when the gossip's not about you, because when you realize like, man, you're coming and telling me this about a friend of yours, and then you're like, I'm a friend of yours, like, what are you talking about when I'm not around? So I think that's always like a big red flag to me. Once that happens, I'm very much like the amount that I'm willing to share decreases by like 98%.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I've seen you interact with that person, in public. You would never know what you told me about them in private, And so I'm like, there's no way I'm the exception, the one exception in your life. So I think that definitely creates a mistrust, which I think maybe it's good, because if you're gossiping, you're letting all your friends know, hey, don't trust me.
Yeah.
So then maybe they can like use discernment and then kind of cut you off a little bit. But I think that is very weird. And I think that anyone who doesn't understand that, like anyone who's like, oh yeah, and they talk and they don't understand that friend is completely trashing them behind their back, I'm like, this is very naive of you, to participate in this.
I think it's in our church setting, and obvious, like in life, we always talk about accountability and having good accountability and people that you like can connect with, having that community. And it's important that we have those people that's like safe space that you can share what you feel. So we hit on it a little bit, but I just want to talk a little bit more. What is the difference between venting, between sharing what you feel, sharing your truth per se? I hate that statement, but I feel like people understand what I mean, even though I hate it. Coming up, season 88 of the podcast, of the Voice Cast. What is the difference between venting, sharing your truth, and gossiping?
Simple answer to me with this is like venting typically is a direct like conversation with one person who you deeply trust and who cares about you. The difference to me, first of all, is venting. You're typically talking about factual information. This happened. I'm not assuming any motives. That's the worst thing, is assuming the motives, because it builds this pretend character of another person, and it's and it stinks. It really stinks. So that's number one. And then number two is with venting, it's I don't know. It just basically, it's direct between you and another person. That person cares about solving the situation, and it's not one where you want them to like tell anybody else. It's a very genuine, like, hey, this is what I'm going through. Hey, do you have any advice for me? But it really has to do with not leaving that area. It's not like the thing with gossip is you give material for it to like, it's almost like, please tell other people, because it's all this open air unknown assumptions, right? But with this, it's like, no, here's what happened, and it
happened to you,
right? Exactly.
Directly.
To specify that is good. Exactly. It's like, this is what's going on with me. There may be other people involved in the situation, but that's not my business to talk about, unless it is in some cases, whatever. But it has directly to do with you. So the difference between venting and gossiping to me is just it's like, this is intended to fix the issue. And it's not assuming anybody's motives. It's, here's what happened. And sometimes it's not even with a response in mind. And what I've noticed is venting, like I'll let something out to somebody and I'll low key just like not want them to say anything. Just listen, just hear me out. Let me literally just vent.
Yeah.
You know you're gossiping when you can't wait for their response. You can't wait for their assumptions, their questions.
Yeah.
Let's really get this thing like boiling. It's just that's when you know you're gossiping, and that's how I've caught myself in the past. So yeah, that's kind of.
I think that's true. I know, like, so R.I.P. to District Fine Arts, because it would have happened already by now. But if there's one job that I would just not wish upon my worst enemy during District Fine Arts, it's working the Blue Mug or the other coffee area in the, what's it called? The
Overflow.
Yeah, Overflow.
Yeah.
And so, because it's like we should just rename it like the Blue Frappuccino, because it's like thousands and thousands of drinks are being made, whatever. And people are super rude. Like when they go to coffee shops and they're rude. So I remember, and Michael Javier, this is like, will bond us forever, this friendship we have. He, after a whole day, like the day is over, whatever, he comes in, we're in Gio's office over here, which I guess also was like for volunteers or something. I don't know. The classroom part. So we're in Gio's office and he just sits down. And he's like, man, like I need to vent. So he starts telling me, and he just starts telling me like just some of the worst interactions he had. Like this lady screamed in my face. This lady asked me if I was stupid. You know, so-and-so, these people like almost threw their drink at me because they were so mad. And so, I mean, if you've ever worked in customer service, you basically need to vent every day you get off because people are horrible and so rude. Yeah. So he's just telling me, and I'm just like, you know, I'm there, like the venting, I'm not really saying anything. I'm just like, oh my gosh, no way. Wow, that's horrible. I'm so sorry. Whatever. So I guess there was like a volunteer that was sleeping in the classroom, and I think Gio's office door was like open or whatever. So she comes in at some point and she's like, excuse me. We're like, yes. And she's like, and then she started railing us about how we're gossiping about other Christians. And she was just like, this is so wrong that you guys are doing. And then she was like, you know, whatever. Like she was just like, she really felt like she was rebuking us and like we needed to learn a lesson. And so I told her, I was like, listen, he's just venting because he just worked 12 hours making coffee for people and they were rude. So I wasn't even there for that. I'm like, I'm not going to take this rebuke from you because there has to be a safe place. Should we have closed the door? Probably. I didn't realize she was sleeping, whatever. Right. But I'm like, this really is venting. Cause you know, even if you know, like Michael Javier, he's like the nicest person ever. And he just was like downtrodden, you know? But I think like, that is the difference. And sometimes people who do struggle with gossip, they're really quick to call you out when you're venting. Yeah. You know, like they're really, when you're like, man, like so-and-so like cut me off or this happened, whatever. They're like, oh, don't gossip. And you're like, no, I'm expressing my frustration with an experience that I personally had.
It's also generic statements.
Right.
It wasn't, he was going, Jonathan Reyes.
No, it wasn't. And it wasn't like, and I bet that woman doesn't even love her family.
Yeah,
like it wasn't like, he wasn't going deep. He was just telling me like, I'm sad because these people were rude. And so I think gossip is at that point, if he was to be telling me, oh, well, this lady, and I bet she, and I saw her the other day, and then she did this. Yeah. That's not it. And I think, like, we do have to have a safe place to vent, but I think that has a lot to do with having safe people to vent to, because I wasn't going to go tell someone else his story. Right. You know, exactly. I was just going to be like, man, that stinks, and I'm sorry, and tomorrow's another day, you know? Yeah. So I think that's it.
Yeah, she was also eavesdropping. So
that's
probably part of it too.
Like it wasn't, you were pretending to sleep. That's so sneaky. It's a good
I think
move, though.
the difference, there's like 3 differences I wrote down. Number 1, I think whatever you're talking about, it directly involves the person talking. So like if I go to you, I'm like, I'm having a hard time. I'm having it. I'm going to tell you, like it involves me. Mm-hmm. Whenever you go over, you know what, Jonathan, Andre and David, blah, blah, blah. Like, why am I going to you about Andre and David? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's not at all. That's gossiping. That has nothing to do with you. Mind your business. But if it's me and it directly involves me. So I think that's the first thing. If it directly involves you. Also when the venting and gossiping, like if you're just venting, you only vent to like at most 3 people, and I think that's too much.
Because you just
at most
need
2.
to let it out. It's like literally a vent. Like you're like,
so like when
done.
you're those kind of people that you're like, I only told my accountability, whatever, and you have 8 or 9 accountability people, there's not accountability. That's gossip in your life. You need to stop. So like if you're one of 2, then okay.
Right.
But if you realize that even like on the listening, because I think that's part of it, which we could talk about in a little bit, but like if you're on the listening side of things and you know this person, wow, I'm just one of a million, walk away from the conversation.
Yeah.
Because you're just perpetuating gossip.
Yeah.
Because you should only vent to 2 people. So I ask people, I'm like, how many people are you talking to?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like, okay, well then we're done.
Yeah.
Or I just don't give an opinion or advice because I know that you're just trying to find someone to agree with you and to perpetuate your gossip or your sin, not really trying to get help.
Yeah.
Also 2, the last one, not 2, would be 3 because 3 comes after 2. I forget sometimes.
Yeah,
learn
it's after
something
2.
quarantine.
It's after 2.
Can the person do something about the info they're sharing?
Right.
So like if they're gonna, this is the because maybe it doesn't directly involve you, but so and so they're in trouble.
Right.
They need help.
Right.
At that moment, I can help them.
Yes.
I can give. I can share. I can whatever. So like if you're trying to help too, I think that's the motive also at that point. I'm like, okay, you're venting. You're not gossip. You're not trying to hurt someone. You're trying to bring help.
Right.
So I think those 3 things are my basics.
I think it's true because I think we said it before, but like, if I saw one of Jonathan's brothers, right, and I thought I saw them doing something that was suspect, and I go and tell someone else about it, I'm like, that's gossip. But if I went to Jonathan because I was genuinely concerned, I'm like, oh my gosh, I think Tyler did this. He stole something, whatever. That's Jonathan. And I'm telling Jonathan so that he can go do something about it. Yeah. And then that's where the story ends,
right.
And I think that it can easily turn into gossip if Jonathan's in a fight with Tyler and he's like, yeah, he is a thief, whatever, but for the most part, it's like you go and you find someone like, hey, let's fix this situation. And then you go and do it. It still can start with an unverified accusation, but the fact that it's been taken to someone who can go do something helpful with it, I don't think that qualifies.
No, that's a really
gossip.
good point because people could confuse that, like because it is
and
unverified.
A lot of people confuse it. But they use it to like I feel like to fit their own needs.
Church because people gossip.
Well,
and I'm like,
sure.
no,
I mean,
I'm not going to tell you, Pastor, that someone committed murder because I don't want to gossip. What are you talking
No,
about? Someone died.
Yeah.
Like, come tell me.
The worst sin that's been, but I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not going to gossip. Fix my halo. I'm like, what are you talking? I've had people do that.
Well, even when people do stop coming around to church, whatever, there is usually a discussion like what happened to them, and then they a lot of times take that and they're like, wow, that's why I'm not coming because everyone's gossiping. And I'm like, no, there's like 15 people who just called you to make sure you're okay because 15 of us are concerned about you. And that I just don't, that is not gossip because it's literally being taken and brokenhearted people and like, hey, are you okay? And I don't ever think that qualifies as gossip. That's just people talking about someone they're concerned with and then acting on that concern.
I think if people are being honest, they can admit that like gossip has a certain feeling to it.
Right.
It has a certain feeling to it.
Yeah.
When you say it and when you get the response from it. Like, but I mean, like,
it's like this.
In a situation. Yeah, exactly.
In these other cases, you're like you don't even want to talk about it.
Exactly.
Right.
There's no joy in it. Like, no, I think I saw this dude stealing something and I hope not, but I just want to tell you so you can go talk to him and that's it. Like, there's no... But the other one, like, you could even have the same face and expression I just gave, but you got this feeling inside of you like,
it's really, this hurts within me. I don't want to say it.
But you're low-key like, here
so
we go. No, I'm serious. Like, they can look the same on the outside. I think that's why people use it to their not good advantage, but that's a really good point.
I know people, all the time. Like, I know people, like, they tell me, I'm like, just because they want to gossip, and they tell me, you could tell the difference between someone who's genuinely concerned, someone who just wants to perpetuate it.
Well, and it can all clump together, too, because I've had people tell me something that's like very serious and I'm like, why did you tell me this? Because to that point where I'm like, I can't sit on this information, it has like involves sin or involves, something that like has to be brought to an authority. And then I'm just like for days I'm just like, oh my gosh, I have to tell Pastor John or like I have to tell Pastor Sonia. And I'm like, I want to vomit. I want to plan a trip and I want to go away for 2 weeks and forget about it, and it's that. But that could have been brought to me with evil intentions. But to me, I'm just like, okay, I have to go tell someone about this. So sometimes it can maybe equal itself out, because then if I'm going to tell you, that's where it stops, and you make the decision as like the spiritual authority to find out the truth and what happens, whatever. But yeah, a lot of times that information ends up reaching someone who has a pure motive, and then that's kind of when it comes to the light. But it will get back to the person who gossiped, like they started that. They saw you know?
Okay, what are some tips on how to stop gossiping? Our gossip experts.
Well, what I would prescribe. First of all, it's like very Bible answer. Like, just be busy doing God's work. You know, be busy doing your own little hustle, whatever.
I like that.
Because when you're genuinely pursuing what God has for you, first of all, you have more grace for other people who are doing the same.
Very true.
So when people mess up, you're like, oh, well, I messed up too, you know, and it's kind of just like, we're in this together. Yeah. So I think that's a good way. And you are genuinely doing what God's asking you to do. So there's a certain insecurity that you don't have, because you're confident that you're walking his path for you. So you don't feel like bringing people down. I would say one is also evaluate your friendships. You know, like I was saying, it was kind of hard for me to like bring up lots of stuff about this lesson, because to me, I'm 25. I don't have any frenemies. You know, I don't have any like close friends that I don't trust. And I think that's a very immature, that's a very like high school thing. Yeah. But I know some people still have that. Like they have frenemies that they compete with, or they have frenemies that they, you know, are really close to, but they're not. And I just think if that's the case, then that probably should just fizzle. You know, you should kind of just create distance, because I feel like where most gossip comes from, it's not from strangers. It's from friends that they're kind of sus.
Very true.
So you need to evaluate, make sure you have good friendships. And then I would also say develop thick skin, because people who gossip are usually hurt. It's like comes from a place of hurt. You know, like you've hurt me, so now everything you do to me is suspect. So I would say if you can just develop thick skin, you're not even really bothered by it, so you don't need whatever. And then my last thing is just to kind of be embarrassed about it. Like understand how it makes you look to gossip.
That's really good.
Because we all want to look good. So if you really realize like, man, I look super dumb talking about this, that might be the only way you'll stop.
Yeah, that's really good. So some tips on how to stop gossiping. So it was almost 6 years ago now that when I started the internship program here, and of course that was for this ministry, The Voice. And there was a principle that was instilled in my whole internship team at the time, but it never left me. And it was this simple principle. It's basically like, if you're gonna have the best team, or if you're gonna have the best, the way I see it now, like relationships, if you're gonna have friends that are actually family, if you're gonna really have that strong bond, then you have to always absolutely assume the best from one another. And when you hear a story from someone else about someone that is close to you, you've got to be so all in for that person that it's like, I hear you, I understand you said that, but I'm not taking that as truth until I know for sure. Yeah. Because I just believe the best for this person. And if it ends up being true, that's okay. Yeah. That's okay, because then we can discuss it and whatever, and that person I care so much about, I can help them and whatever. Good. If it ends up being false, I have just avoided so many negative emotions and so many negative perspective changes on a person who I love and care about. That is way more worth it. It is way more worth it to err on the side of caution, like not let those things in my heart and my head change about this person who maybe never even did this thing they're being accused of. Yeah. So because I was taught that so early on, man, like still to this day, I'll hear, oh, this person did this thing, and from the gossiper's mouth, here's why they did it. I'll just be like, no, incorrect. Until this person or whatever tells me directly that happened and it was their motive, which, by the way, at that point, they're recognizing something negative that they did. Right. Huge step in the process of like making things okay and better. Like that's one thing. But like to hear it from somebody and, oh, here's their motives to it as well. I care about that person so much. And I understand it can be harder if it's somebody who doesn't have too much to do with me. Like I'm not super close with them. Yeah. That is a realistic thing to think about, because the bottom line is you're not going to be gossiped to about only the people you love. It's also going to be other people too. Right. But I would hope that myself and others, we can exercise a Jesus-like love to where it's like, no, I do have love for the people of my church and for the people of my community and all this stuff. Yeah. So, man, that's something I learned so early on, and so it helps it when it comes to me, for me to be like, and I've had moments like this recently where I'm like, I understand that you so strongly believe that this person did that for that reason, but I'm telling you, I do not believe it.
Right.
And if it turns out to be
The
true,
reason is
fine.
a huge deal.
It's because
Because was it a mistake?
Right.
Was it pure intentions, or was it actually
evil? That's what has to do with whether or not my perspective of this person is going to shift.
Right.
And that's so important because that affects us on like a subconscious level.
Right.
Like I'll treat that person differently in small ways, but I definitely will if I let that mutation in my mind happen. So man, that to me is the most important thing, man. Have this love for people that's so deep that it's like, no, I believe better for them than the accusation. And if it turns out to be true, that's one thing, but I'm not going to let it change the way I see them.
That's good.
I think that number one, stop listening, walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember Pastor Darrell taught me that like years and years and years ago, a pastor we had here a long time ago. And it really does work. Like if you're listening, just kind of walk away.
Yeah.
And I think if you start doing that now, eventually, like you kind of develop this confidence that at first you just kind of walk away, you stop listening, because if there's no more ears to spread it, then it just kind of stops. And it kind of can get to the point that you develop a boldness, because there's sometimes it's kind of what you were saying to jump off of that it's like, I'm going to believe the good, but you develop this kind of guts, and I've done it for real, that I'm like, no, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah.
And I will say that I was like, no,
awesome.
Pastor Johnny would never do that.
Yeah.
But I wasn't always that bold, but I've grown in that, because scripturally and biblically, I'm like, number one, shut up about this person. I'm already getting mad, and I'm not even thinking about anything. I need to come.
Repenting.
I'm sorry. But
I
can. I've had that, and I've done it with no qualms.
That's awesome.
And I don't even give a rip if it's true or not. I was like, you don't know what you're. Shut up. That's not true. And then I go home, and I deal with it, or I don't deal with it, or not. But like, if you stop listening, start walking away, you realize what a conduit you can be to spread goodness. And it's just so like, and you want to live the life. The Bible says to live a life above reproach. Like, I long for loyalty more than anything. Like, I am that kind of person. So I've been able to kind of tap into that. Sometimes I just walk away. Sometimes I pick and choose my battles, but it can get to the point that you could really be a person to stand up for truth and shut something down. And that's probably what that girl was trying to do with Michael Javier, even though she had no context and no whatever. Like, there's a difference, but you can grow in that and be like, wow, I just kind of defended, or just kind of spoke up to what's right. Like, kind of, you can dead conversations. Like, for real, like, you can dead it. But it just begins with stop listening and walking away. Also, and this is for real, you don't have to share everything.
No.
I've had people, literally a situation yesterday,
Stop
someone was like, hey, this happened. What do you want me to do about it? And I kind of laughed, and I'm like, wow, we're going to be doing this podcast tomorrow. So I said, okay, this person brought this to you. I want you to pray about it. I'm like, and if the Lord convicts you, you confront the person. If not, let it go. We don't have to share or fight every battle. And I had to learn the hard way. I'm more comfortable with confrontation than non-confrontation. And I say that, and I'm not trying to be cool, because I hate people that say that, just like people who say, I'm an introvert. No, you're not. If you're going to say that, then you're not really an introvert.
I'm an introvert.
Because supposedly, I think technically I'm kind of an extrovert, but I know that I'm not. I'm an introvert.
So interesting, right?
I'm defender of the downtrodden. That's why I was getting mad already. I'm like, no,
it's
votes for
true.
women. Like, I don't, like, I just want to defend. Did you get that movie quote? That was Mary Poppins.
Oh my gosh. I was just laughing at how you said it.
There's nothing that I only speak in moving quotes. I have not one original thought. Anyways, even this thought, you don't have to share, even if it has to do with other people, deal with it. Or even if it has to do with you, like, people have told me things, and I'm like, okay, I can go and take this to the higher ups. Or I can just go to my prayer closet, the room where it happened. I can go, God, this hurt my feelings. This is making me cry. I could go tell other people and vent. I could tell wrong people, and they could go do something about it. Or, God, I can take complete control, take it, pray about it, let you deal with it, because you're the advocate and the defender and the author and the finisher of my faith, and I can just let it go, and that's it. And I'll be honest, and this is only because of experience, not because of anything else, but there's things that I have that I've never told anyone. Like, evil things that people have said. I have proof, and sometimes I share it for accountability purposes, but that I've literally just go, God, I'm going to trust you.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I could go, so-and-so did this. And I
Yeah,
could make
easily.
people look
Right.
bad
Yeah.
because they hurt my feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've learned to just kind of take it. And it's pretty, Ecclesiastes 7, verse 21. Don't listen to everything people say. You might hear your own servants saying bad things about you. And you know that many times you too have said bad things about people.
That is literally in my notes too.
I love that verse because I
Yes,
know
it's
I've
so
been there and
true.
I've been mad and I've been whatever. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, this person made me mad or this person hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And I didn't mean it and I don't
Right.
hate that person and I don't whatever. I've just learned that I'm upset. Like I could say right now, oh my gosh, Laura, my sister, she annoyed me. I'm so mad at her.
Right.
I could say that and oh, she was just having a moment.
Yeah.
You in no way would you think Sonia
Right.
hates
She
Laura.
hates her.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you would never, and maybe I have too much confidence in you.
No, I
but
would
do you know
never.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I
Do
go,
you know that?
you would never ever
Right.
think
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Because you know
Right.
that I'm just being upset. And
Right.
and that comes with maturity or understanding a relationship. So like I know that I've said things that I don't want repeated.
Right.
I'm like, so we have to give that benefit of the
Yes,
doubt
absolutely.
to other
You need
people.
to give people grace.
And if we
Yes.
do that, then we can better we can stop this gossiping or stop feeling like everything is a battle. I literally air it out and like if someone tells oh that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not
So
true.
good.
But
I
it
air
is
it
it's
good.
out
better.
now.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's
that's not
better
true.
to be like that. I know like even sometimes when like people have brought things to me, one of my little defense mechanisms now is like before they kind of really tell me, I'm like, okay, so if you tell me this, I'm going to have to go talk to that person about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Do you want me to go talk to them about
And you
it?
say that up front?
Yeah, because I'm just like
Awesome.
what you're about to
That's
tell me.
so
I'm pretty
awesome.
sure it's just like as
That's
just
a grown
being in that
behavior.
position to
Yeah.
in ministry. I'm like, you can't tell me this as a safe space anymore. If you
Yeah.
tell me this person did this, I have to go talk to them. And then that's when the whole action happens and some people are like, oh, never mind, because they kind of know it's unverified.
Yeah.
And they sort of know, you know what I mean? They're kind of like,
Right.
oh, well, I'm not 100% sure that, you know what I mean? Because then I'm like, okay, well, then I don't want to hear about it because
Right.
I don't want to carry those burdens,
Right.
Yeah.
especially if they're false. Like I don't have room in my mind for that because it does. It makes me worried about people. It makes me
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm just, so then I do that a lot. Like, especially when people are like, oh, I shouldn't tell you. Anytime someone says that, I'm like, yeah, don't tell me. Don't
Yeah.
tell me. And then that's it. And then they're kind of surprised because they're like, oh, I wanted you to ask
Yeah.
more. And you're like, no, just don't tell me then.
I also I didn't have this in my notes, but also which then we can derail. I was like, I also know too that like every time I say something, I know that it's going to be repeated.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I
you
know
have
for
to
a fact
talk
right
with-
now
yes.
when I said Laura, someone that's watching is going to text Laura.
That's what I said, Michael. Like I'm going to have to text
That's
Michael
probably-
after this and be
That's
like,
probably
you're in the
tripping some
voice
people
cast
out right
with
now
me.
that are already texting.
that are already
Yes.
doing it. But
Yes.
like I know for a fact, just like I
Yeah.
know, I'm
Funny.
pretty sure, you know, we'll see how many people text David with the last podcast.
Yeah.
Or if they don't, I know that no one watched the podcast.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? There's certain people that I know
Yeah.
I'm already and you have to grow in that. You're like, when I say this, I know this is going
Yes.
to
If you
reach
talk
other
with
ears.
intentions like that, then it's
and
way easier.
sometimes and
That's
trust me
so-
on this, I do it
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yeah.
I will say things in group settings. If you're like, I know it's gonna, I'm like, no, but I want it to.
Right.
I know exactly. So I know, and if I don't say it, it's because I know it's not. It doesn't matter who it is. Like
Yeah.
it could be people that I completely care about. I know that everyone's always gonna tell one more person.
Yeah.
So like either I keep it to myself or I'm aware. So everyone needs to just kind of grow in that.
I'm
You
gonna
know,
start
no
doing
matter
that.
what, someone is gonna tell someone.
Yeah.
Like you know that, accept it,
Right.
believe it, love it.
Yeah, and then own what you
drink
say,
it.
you know?
There's
Yeah.
also there's a safety in that too, because sometimes there's things that I've had to talk to PJ about that I'm like, I'm like, let me just tell Jamie, she'll tell PJ.
Yeah.
Like I had to do that this past week,
Yeah.
and not even like, and I don't know. It's just kind of like that standard, protecting Pastor Johnny's position,
Yeah.
and placing and whatever. That I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna waste my time and text him,
Right.
Because it's PJ,
Right.
I'm gonna text Jamie, and we got two different people, two different
Yeah.
I'm like, Jamie, boo blah 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 da da da, and she goes, I'll tell PJ. I'm like, word up, see ya. I'm gonna go get my steps now, So like, just even knowing that there's that comfortability, while that is a blessing, but you know, everyone tells somebody else, everyone knows, and obviously that's husband and wife, and there's a bond, and
Yeah.
it's different. But while that is a blessing, and everyone can have that in their life. You have those people that you're like, okay, yeah, this is a safe space.
Yeah.
But no, someone always tells someone.
Yes.
Like that is for real.
Yep.
How should you? That's kind of how I respond, which is a really long answer. But how should one respond to gossip? when it's about you?
Oh.
I mean, you can have about other people.
When it's about me, first of all, I feel like maybe you kind of said it, but yeah, if anyone ever I can't even remember the last time that's happened, but to be honest. Good. Yeah, because anytime someone brings it to me, first of all, it's that whole, like, I think it's just Jay-Z maybe, or someone who's like, why do they feel comfortable? Jay-Z? I think Jay-Z said it's like a Jay-Z maybe, but it's like, why do they feel comfortable saying that stuff to you? You know, because aren't you my friend? Whatever. Yeah. So I get that, but I'm also like, maybe like people in my life sometimes will consistently, and I have to stop them and be like, listen, I don't want you to tell me that anymore. Like if so-and-so's talking bad about me, I don't want to know because they're not bringing it to me. So there's not anything I can do. And at the same time, it just hurts my feelings. Like it just makes me feel bad, and it makes me feel bad things towards them. Yeah. But this person and I are probably never going to have a conversation about it. So I need you to stop relaying the information. Like I think that is one of the most hurtful roles of it. The people who like constantly like, yeah, so-and-so said this about you, so-and-so said this about you. And I'm like, what is your role here? You're just trying to make a conflict out of nothing. When in reality, if someone did say something bad about me, I'm like, well, they probably just had a bad day, or I probably just offended them and they got over it. You know, like I don't need you to tell me everything everyone says, because I don't want that to happen to me. Yeah. I don't want to go off and be mad at whatever. And then someone takes that and is like, yeah, they were mad at you. Because I want there to be like a safe space.
They might be thinking they're being a good friend to you.
Right. But I'm like, you are not a good friend to me.
Yeah.
It's so much better to not know. I would rather any day, because I swear.
Because it doesn't hurt you if you don't know. It's fine.
I love everybody. Yeah, like there isn't like, you come up to me and be, oh my gosh, I used to not like you. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I thought we were BFFs.
Yeah.
And all it does is hurt my feelings.
But it's even hurtful when that happens, because you're like, oh, I thought we were friends for 5 years.
Well, yeah, because then I think less of them.
Right.
Because then I'm afraid to talk to them. I'm afraid because I know that at that point everything will be misconstrued.
Right. I think maybe it's like when I was a first year intern, I don't know, I had someone actually do that to me. That's the last time I really remember. And it was so weird because it was like, they were like, yeah, so-and-so doesn't like you. And I was like, really? Like we've worked together for so long. Like we do the same things, whatever. So then in my head, I'm like, okay, they haven't liked me for 4 years and it's never been weird. I've always treated them normal, whatever. But now that I know, I am like scared of them. I kind of am mad at them. I kind of feel super weird about it. And I'm like, all you did was hurt me in this scenario. And probably them too, because maybe they just had a bad day, or maybe they just don't like my personality and they're never gonna. And that's also okay. We can be cordial and not be besties.
But it doesn't present it to you like that. It presents it as like, oh, this is, I'm out. Right. Peace. I'm like, that's all it is.
Right. And I'm like, yeah. No, and I don't want, I guess like that. I don't want to assume that anyone doesn't like me, and if I feel like if they don't like me and they can tell me, and if they don't tell me, then it's fine. We can all just be cordial and it's cool. And I think people do that thinking, oh, well, they're talking about me for sure. And I'm like, no, never. Because I thought we were acquaintances, you know, maybe casual friends at best. But now I guess we're enemies. Yeah. I didn't want to be in this war, you know?
Yeah, I think I respond to gossip about myself, like if it ever does get back to me. I would like to think I respond to it in the same way that you just described, but I think it's like, I don't know, I think I definitely need to work on getting it out there, because I think all that stuff is happening in my heart and in my mind, which is good, you know what I mean? Like I'm not torn up about it. I do genuinely, sometimes I look at like the situation of, oh, this person was talking smack about you, Jonathan. Like I'll look at that and I'll be like, well, I mean, I've probably done that too when I've had a bad day, or when when I'm quarantined, all this stuff, I try to let those things play into it. But I think a good direction to head in is, for those of you listening, if that is where you're at, it's great. If it's not, try to get there. But then also, like Kaimana was saying, try to get it out there. Like try to make it a verbalization where you address it that way. You say like, oh, well, I mean, first of all, stop telling me these things. Yes. Like just don't do that, because you know that nothing good is going to come out of it. But second of all, then after that conversation's had, just maybe go to the person who you heard it about, if you can be constructive and not weird about it, and say, hey, listen, just I don't know, just mend that a little bit. And I think even that's a difficult one, because then you start to like put into their head like, point. Oh, this person said this. So
I
it's
think
like,
there's some things, yes, you do need to confront. But I dare
I feel
say,
like there's a lot you don't
I
know.
think,
Yeah,
I think the
absolutely.
majority. Well, I mean, I guess if we're very, very biblically literal, is there anything we really need to like? This is how we fight our battles. Like he's
Right.
the defender, and I think I've read books a lot of times. Like there's so many times that we keep defending our rights that we move God out of the way.
Yeah.
When God is our advocate and
Right.
our judge.
Yeah.
If we would just stay out of the way and trust Him to fight our battles, then we would see Him take control of our
Right.
lives. So
Right.
I dare say. Because in my mind, I'm like, well, I don't have, maybe 10% I don't have to fight, but it would be awesome.
Yeah.
And maybe it challenged me. I'm like, how about 100% of the battles? I go, okay, thank you so much. Don't tell me this again. Let it go.
Right.
And then
Right.
just go to my prayer closet, cry, pray
Right.
through, and then just drop it. Like, how awesome would it be? Like,
Right.
guys, it doesn't add to your life. So why
Right.
are you going to entertain it?
That's
Right.
good. Amen. Absolutely.
Jonathan.
I don't know why I do that.
Get out of here.
Okay, I'm going to read some verses, and you guys are going to tell me your thoughts as we conclude here. How these verses apply to gossip and tea spilling, the spill factory. James 1:26. James 1:26. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves, and their religion is worthless.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts on that are.
Are you going to say, well, I don't have a religion, I have a relationship, so I can like smack you upside the
the
head?
It's not about
Because I
Cool.
hate
Things
those
to say.
semantics.
Yeah, me
I'm like,
too.
you have a religion, and we're like, calm down. Who cares?
The first thing that comes to mind is this. Those who consider themselves religious and yet do not keep a tight rein on their tongues deceive themselves. I think that considering yourself religious for what it actually is, which is what we are, going to church and taking part in worship services and being a person of prayer and being in your word, that's all important, and that's that first part it talks about. But it also specifies that you've got to keep the tight rein on your tongue. Like that's your job. So I mean, it's literally telling you to be intentional about that. Don't let it just be something where you say like, I'm not convicted about it, so it's not, I'm not really there yet type thing. No, it's like it's an order. It's like, no, you need to keep a tight rein on your tongue, because if you don't, all this other stuff that you're claiming to whatever,
Yeah.
invalid. You know what I mean? And so that's the first thing that came to mind. I was like, oh, look at that. It's saying that we need to keep a tight rein on that. Like that's our job. We
Yeah.
have to focus and be intentional about that. Obviously the Bible knows what it's talking about, because why does it say that? Because my goodness, is it easy to not? Is it easy just to let it fly?
Yeah.
So that's what I noticed.
Yeah, I think it just shows how serious it is, and it's weird because a lot of things that have to do with the tongue, like talking, we don't consider serious sins, like lying
Yeah.
and gossip and making vows we don't plan on keeping. But like the Bible is so clear that it's part of it, just as much as defending the cause of widows and orphans, and just as much as, having faith and just whatever.
Yeah.
This is part of it, and it's very serious to God, so it has to be serious to us too.
Yeah, I agree. Proverbs 26:20. Without wood, a fire goes out. Without gossip, a quarrel dies down.
I mean, it's really like what we've been talking about this whole time.
I know, but it's scripture and we don't follow
Yeah.
it. Break it down, John.
Without wood, a fire goes out. Without a gossip, a quarrel dies down. I mean, I think fires can start, right? Fires can happen, but it's the wood that like you put wood in there, you like adjust it, you make it all like you're feeding the flame, right? Like gossip is literally you're like adjusting the wood, and you're like you're waving it, like making it, worse than it has to be.
Yeah.
So I think it's like the perfect way to put it, because it's like you're providing like
Kindle.
You're right.
Yeah.
Kibble.
You may not be you may not be providing the reason it started, but you are certainly not providing a reason for
Yeah.
it to end. You are helping it. And
Yeah.
Right, and I think it's just, I don't know, it's just absurd. Like if me and Squirrel, right, we're coworkers. Let's say we have an argument.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say we say everything we want to say to each other, we whatever, and we're kind of mean, then we're not, whatever. And then we go and vent to people about it, because we probably will, right? You have an argument, you have to go vent to someone and tell
Yeah.
them. If that person comes to me and is like, yeah, I said he was really mad at you, yeah, whatever, it's almost like accurate, like things like, yeah, when you
That's
said
good.
this, but it's like we already talked about it, so
Yeah.
why are you bringing it back up to me? Like
Yeah.
we had the argument, all you're doing is is fanning the flame.
Yeah.
Like, we settled it. We then talked to our safe people. Now, I guess you're not a safe person because you're coming back letting me know what happened, and you're just like factually reporting to me the argument I just had. But stop it, like stop it, because we settled that. So I think that, without a gossip, the arguments we have, the whatever we have, it can be settled so quickly.
So quickly.
I feel like if people would just try this, they'd be way happier and actually grow in their leadership and their trustworthiness.
Yeah.
I think they don't realize how much it's like like when they start spreading gossip, or this person who's perpetually broken or perpetually, it's like, I hate drama. Anyone who says that, it's because they're the drama kings and queens.
Yeah.
Nobody that is not drama ever says that statement.
Right.
Like, it's just not, you don't have to even worry about saying it
true.
because it's not a part of their life. So if
Right.
people would just kind of like dead it, like it ends with you. It's like, stop like going off to like other people, then they would just be way happier and you would grow. Because at that point, like, oh, I can trust that person because they're not going to talk bad or say this. And responsibilities are given even in the human level. So how much more in the godly spiritual level?
Right.
It's like, oh, wow, they can be trusted.
Right.
Because if they're, trust is even like with situations and stories. If they can be trusted with my deep secret or my past or even my present, my situation, then they could be trusted with other things out here. So I think that's like super, super important. Proverbs 6:16. The Lord hates these 7 things: eyes that show pride, tongues that tell lies, hands that kill innocent people, hearts that plan evil things to do, feet that run to evil, witnesses in court who tell lies, and anyone who causes family members to fight. Proverbs 6:16 through 19.
It's just scary that it puts those things together.
Okay.
It's just like
one of those things is hands that kill innocent people. That's murder.
And then another is anyone who causes family members to fight.
Right. Those are equal.
That is such an effect of gossip.
Yeah.
But you're right there with it. It just, I don't know. It gives us a better gauge of like it's just not okay, and it's not okay for like it to be this thing that we're like, although it's true to say like, oh, we all struggle with that. Although that's true, that is so often a statement to like ease the stress of like, wait a second, you got to get better. Like you have to move and do something with this. Like, so I don't know. It makes me think of that. Like it's in the same passage, like it's not okay and God hates it. And like he's like there's the thing
not
is
just like don't do it, it's like I hate this.
Whenever I hear somebody say they hate something, I'm like, oh, but to hear God say that, I'm gonna run away.
That's my test of anger. Like I don't ever say that word. Like I don't ever, even with your siblings, oh, I hate you. Like I've never said it.
Yeah.
And so Jonathan Cruz used to always like, because I put it out and he would say it. Like if I'm really stressed out and really whatever, the minute that I said, I hate this, that's like my highest level. I'm very upset.
Exactly. Yes.
That's like, once after that, it's going to go down. Like that's it. I cannot get any more mad. But if you hear me say it, just know, okay, this is not good. Abort mission. This is not good.
So the passage is saying that the Lord hates these things that are direct effects of gossip.
Yeah. I think the crazy part to me, I think there's 7 things there. The Lord hates these 7 things. 5 out of 7 of these are stemmed from idle chatter.
Right.
And I thought that was crazy. So like tongues that tell lies, heart that plans evil things. Because you plan it, you're like, well, I'm going to send this text and tell someone. Feet that run to do, like instantly, I got to go tattle to you. Witnesses who tell lies in court. Obviously, people who like, oh, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did this. Anyone who causes family members to fight, like anything like that. The other 2 are eyes that show pride, which I guess that could be a little bit, but it's just, you could be prideful of yourself. And then murder, which I think even still, most people would agree that that's bad in this country.
Even still, yes.
Yeah.
At least 80%.
So I think that is absolutely crazy.
Yep.
Any final thoughts before we close out?
My last thought, which this might be just opposite of everything we just talked about, but I would just say that you have like a lot less haters than you think. Like, I feel like a lot of people maybe just feel like they're always being the subject of gossip, but you're probably not. Yeah. Like, and that's, I think, a good, healthy way just to live is just to kind of assume that you're not. Because one, I feel like if you are being gossiped about, it kind of means you're important. That's one thing, right? Because if you don't matter, people don't talk about you, good or bad, you're kind of just there. So I think sometimes when we assume we're being gossiped about, we're kind of making ourselves bigger than we are.
Yeah.
And it also is causing, anxiety that you don't need. Just go ahead and assume that no one's talking badly about you until you're proven otherwise, and I think that sometimes that's how we also justify gossip, is we think, well, everyone's gossiping about me. And I'm like, probably not, because I haven't heard anyone gossip about you. I haven't heard anyone gossip about me either, probably. So I think it happens less than we realize sometimes. And when we're in it, I think that's when we think people are gossiping the most. When we gossip a lot, we are very paranoid.
Yeah.
And we just assume everyone else is too. So I would just say that you have less haters than you think. Just live your life. Be nice to people. Give grace, and just live.
Yeah. Last thoughts on gossip. I mean, I just want to again reiterate to people listening, like this is a tough one. It definitely is. I think it's I don't know. And especially back to my point that I made earlier, just about when someone, I mean, when you're a part of a gossip situation, when maybe somebody comes to you with these ideas of someone else and all this stuff, like the hard part is how to react to that. The hard part is like not, because it's not only participating in it, it's perpetuating just a culture between you and a friendship or a huge group of people where that's okay or where that's tolerated or whatever. And the problem with gossip is that like it doesn't need that much of an environment to flourish. It just needs an open ear. And from there, you can be tempted to either spread it or not spread it. But the problem is that you've received it. So it can easily spread from there when, again, you get into conversations where you want to make small talk or whatever. So, I mean, the last thing I wanted to just point out was that it is tough. But I think accountability in this area is huge because it's like with this issue, like you can't really commit this sin on your own. You kind of need other people
That's true,
to do it. You know what I mean? So it's like you can't, like, if you're surrounding yourself with the right people and letting it be known, like, hey, I'm trying to get like over this issue of gossip, like it's going to be the easiest thing to get accountability in because the same person you're going to go to gossip or to hear gossip from is going to be the same person probably that you're pretty close to, that you can both work together and say, no, let's stop doing this. So I think if you put any amount of effort forward, you can easily get better at it. That being said, don't let it go by the wayside. Don't just think that, this is something, we all struggle with. Yes, but that does not make it okay.
Yeah.
And it's causing more issues than you can directly perceive are being caused by it. They're there. A lot of things happen because of gossip that you don't even attribute to gossip being the issue. Yeah. So work on it with intentionality. And like that verse in James says, like, keep a tight rein on your tongue. Like, do it. Like, actually do it.
My last thought, I'm kind of taking a different little twist, but I feel like I need to say it. I think that we have to be careful in weaponizing that, that person was gossiping. Because I feel like believers, they know what to say. They know the trigger words to shut down accountability.
Yes.
So I feel like in this, when you have accountability and you are a mature believer and someone comes to you and go, hey, this is going on, or they're like, okay, I'm trying to keep you accountable. I have to, there's certain requirements that we have as leaders, as pastors, as interns, as human beings, as American citizens. And there's going to come repercussions that we have because, if we don't pay our taxes, we're going to get in trouble. If we don't come in on time, we're going to get in trouble. If we break certain standards that we've decided to live by because we're in ministry or we're a part of a group or a church or, whatever, then we're going to get in trouble. And if you get in trouble and someone calls you out on it, you cannot say, stop gossiping about me. And I'm like, that is literally the most powerful tool, and listen to me, of the enemy that is coming against leaders in this church today.
Yeah.
Like, I am floored at the fact of people, accountability, then someone calls you out on it. Someone that you said was your accountability, someone that you trust, someone that you know is going to heaven, and they call you out on it, and you feel dumb and embarrassed. Yeah. So you go, people were gossiping about me. Right. And at that point, you've shut it down. You've shut down the anointing, the growth, and the rebuke. And that is a problem.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, and I know we're kind of derailing, but I felt like I just needed to share that. Stop weaponizing that sentence.
Right.
Because if you use that sentence, you know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
Because people who don't use that sentence, they don't know. They don't know that you probably shouldn't gossip. They'll learn. But if you already know enough to use that term to call someone out and go, stop your gossiping, and that's not of God, at that point, I'm like, that to me, that's a red flag. I'm like, wow, you have issues. I'm like, and you're weaponizing that term and you're pushing away what God has for you.
Right.
So let's be careful. If you don't listen to it, you're not going to hear it. I really don't ever hear any gossip.
Right.
I think that's amazing. That's an amazing place to be in life. I'm like, because everyone knows if it's going to come to me, I'm going to attack it.
Yeah.
I'm going to fix it, or I'm never going to, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm just going to put this in the bank and let the Lord deal with it.
Yeah.
So let's, fortune cookie time. Kaimana, you haven't opened one all season, so it's your turn. John, you want to call it?
This one's like already out. I could read it.
I'm not good at this.
It's okay. You have to get better at it.
This is
You always think too hard about it.
I know, that's the problem. This is going to be about your close friendships.
That's so not
I
juicy.
tried really hard, man.
This is about the table.
First, learn to give, and then the universe will reward you.
Oh. So you give,
You
her
give,
friends are going to
and then
reward.
I have friends.
Okay.
They're going to give me rewards.
Yeah.
Rewards points.
Rewards points.
I love that. Starbucks.
That'd be a good friendship. You get
Chipotle,
rewards points. Like,
Chick-fil-A.
oh, you
That'd be
texted
great.
me. You checked up on me. 20 reward points. Wow.
Get a
That would
free
be
soda.
Sounds like
That's
a good
also kind
idea.
of scary and creepy.
I know
Yes,
it
it
is.
is creepy.
Well, thank
do
you guys so much for joining us today. I hope that you're blessed. Click down, subscribe, share this right now if you were blessed, if you were inspired, if you were challenged. Go ahead and share this link right now so that other people can listen to the voice cast. I hope you guys are being safe and that you have an amazing week. See you next time.
See ya.